I don't like that people are calling it a ride. A ride, you know, you never see a male astronaut who's going up in space and they said, oh, he took a ride. We actually duplicated the route that Alan Shepard did. That's why it's called, the particular capsule is called the New Shepard. We duplicated that route. No one said he took that ride. It's always referred to as a flight or a journey. So I feel that that's a little disrespectful to what the mission was and what the work that Blue Origin does. We use space technology all the time, whether it's your GPS, whether it's your satellite. That doesn't just happen. Every time a flight goes up, they get some type of information. Two of the astronauts, I still have a hard time calling myself an astronaut, but two of the astronauts on board, one is a rocket scientist, one is an astrophysicist activist. We're actually doing experiments.
See, that makes way more sense though. They were actually going up to do experiments. The definition of an astronaut is somebody that is trained to go into space, not when you just hitch a ride to go into space. You know what I'm saying? So I don't understand how it could be disrespectful when they're saying, hey, you just hitched a ride. It's the same way it's not disrespectful when you buy a plane ticket and then you go on an airline to across the states to another state. You know what I'm saying? It's the same type of logic. Just because you're in the hospital, you're not designated as a nurse or a doctor. Even if you pass somebody a nap, even if you just ride on something, if you take a ride on a train, you're not considered a train operator. You know what I'm saying? If you like walk through the museum, you're perusing through a museum, you're not a historian. If you dust off a couple of fossils, you're not a paleontologist. We can't just be taking people's names and full professions without you putting the time in, without you putting the suffering in, and the studying and the knowledge and the experience garners that level of title. That's why you can't just go and do a Blue Origin flight. You just copy the same route, and now you're all of a sudden have that same title as Alan Shepard. That's not how that works, and that's not how, you know, a typical American or typical average adult is going to see that.
But every time one of those goes up, you get some information that can be used for something else. So
yeah, but she's not the one actually gathering the information. It was the engineer and the other scientists that were on the actual craft to do those jobs. She was essentially there as a tourist. That's why you can't be coming out and then saying these type of things to try to garner some type of attention or garner some type of respect just because you went out into space and you copied somebody's route. I don't know.
I wish people would do more due diligence. And then my question is, have y'all been to space? Have you been to space? Go to space or go to Blue Origin and see what they do and how.
But at this point, that's just flaunting your money. It's absolutely flaunting your money.
If you just sit there, have you flown on an airplane? Have you gone down in a submarine?
And you had it collapse. You can't just be super rich and then try to flaunt it and throw it in people's face. Now, say if she did a submarine tour or whatever, but she's not a professional. You're not experienced. You're not going to put that title. You're not the captain of the ship. You're just a tourist along for the ride. That's why people see this and they just scoff it. That's why people see this and they shame you. Like, what are you talking? You can't just take the title just because you went on a ride.
How they do, and then come back and say, this is a terrible thing. I've had so many girls and women and some guys who are saying, boy, I saw what you did. I'm thinking maybe I should reconsider. Maybe I could do this too. The young girls in particular. But it's not just the young girls. We're also encouraging, I mean, the boys look at it and see what women and young girls. So I know there are cranky Yankees. I know there's some haters, but I'm not going to let people steal my joy, steal the joy of what we did or what we accomplished that day. I'm just not going to let it in. I'm not. And these are some of my friends that are throwing
and they're throwing shade just because, they're throwing shade because they don't want to be lumped into that type of group as well. They see that you're kind of flaunting it. You're like, hey, I have the money so I can go on these fancy Blue Origin trips and get my name out there just because I'm utilizing my celebrity. I'm in a higher position than you. That's why you already started to throw it out. Hey, have you ever been to space? Can you afford it? I don't think so. So yeah, I'm an astronaut and you're just staying poor over there. Like, people hate that stuff. And it's extremely disrespectful to the common man that can't do these type of extravagant trips. And this is the same type of stuff that if there was something wrong on the ship that were to happen, everybody would be asking for sympathy from the poor crowd over here. You know what I'm saying? That's the same relative thinking. That's what's going on in these situations when super rich people go off gallivanting and doing extreme trips and try to bolster their self-esteem and their titles as well while they're doing these extravagant trips. That's all I see, guys. That's all I see. But yeah, I mean, it's a good thing to look up to it for the young girls and the young women to look at the of female scientists that were on the collecting actual data, doing the real work, and then pushing, you know, the Blue Origin data a little bit further and further for each trip, not for the tourists. Let's be honest. Let's check out these Reddit comments. Yeah, nobody is calling Bezos or Shatner astronauts either. Nobody's calling these people astronauts. And it's his ship. It's his penis-shaped ship. I remember there being significant pushback by everyone to ensure I'm claiming the astronaut title. This isn't a male versus female issue. This is people disagreeing. You can simply purchase credentials and titles that you didn't even earn. That is a great comment. This is precisely why people disdain stolen valor. Yeah, and she's trying to change it to like a feminist issue. Nobody's saying that's why we heavily respect the actual scientists that went on the trip. This isn't a feminist issue. Saying how we couldn't be calling out if it was a man who went into space. That's ridiculous, guys. She's pushing bullshit to make people think billionaires aren't the problem. That's the problem. Don't throw your money in people's faces when you directly ask, have you gone to space? Well, it's your fault. You'd be an astronaut too. Let me know what you guys think. I'm Blahzaye. This has been Mini Vibes. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.